Hi friends, and welcome back to Playing Tribute to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where we are on the second game, Great Ace Attorney 2, Resolve, and the first case, second part. That was a lot of numbers. Surprise witness. Surprise, surprise. Oh, I was saving it, that's right. I'm jumping right in, as you can see, from where we left off. No more waiting like 2 weeks to record, to upload. It's always such a long process to type that out. The Old Bailey isn't that long. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hope to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence, that you'd stand by me to the last? I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato, I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I'm no better, you know. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pull the knife blade from Mr. Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato? I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no. I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray? Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting in the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time. That's right, just Miss Brett and myself. There's no one else. So I don't understand how it could have possibly been stabbed like that. How she could possibly have been stabbed like that. A great mystery indeed. I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It'll be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day. I promise you that I'm going to prove it to I'm going to prove everything you've said you saw is true. Wow. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. And the trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory-synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see. Yes. Without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Chemical reagent? I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to the police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, just in case. Special indicator solution for the new poison under development by my father's team. It's been created in strict secrecy and exists only in my father's laboratory. What's the matter, Suzuki? You're suddenly very quiet. It's this newspaper article. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory? I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing! What? It was when the professor and Saseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swaned in, and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guest would love to hear about your work, that substance there? The work on the substance there?" It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Saseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. So then, Saseki-san knew about the poison? Yes, and it's highly likely. But the reporter who was writing the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too. This Minimemo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no. I don't remember the reporter being there. Well, he clearly took the picture, so he was definitely there. Indeed, he should have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there. He shouldn't have been, sorry. Oh? A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside? Saseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. But he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Yes, that must be what happened. Interesting, the verb posted. Because clearly, when we think of the word posted now, we think about like posting it on a social media thing or something. But posted in this method is talking about sending it through the mail. So I wonder, I always thought of posted as like posted it up on a message board. Like, not even in social media way, but like posting it on a corkboard or something in the middle of a town square or whatever. That's what I thought the posted came from for social media. But it's interesting how it's all the same word. Anyway. Yay, language. Counsel? Oh, hi, you're close up now. You've just heard that the witness is now ready to testify. The new witness. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. You have no eyes, dude. It's time to steal ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes. Ray has put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. I hereby call this court to order. I always mix up his voice or something. Like his voice is never consistent, and I apologize. As we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Mimambi. Prosecutor Ouchie, have you summoned the new witness? Before I address that question, Your Excellency. Oh no. I have some very important news to share. It's never a good thing whenever he's like this. Oh. What news? And why does he look so happy about it? During the recess with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University. And the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Mr. Zailbrett's life. Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter. Oh, too kind, Your Excellency. Too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course. I had the reagent delivered to the police headquarters by Rickshaw, so it would be there in good time. But judging from the man's swagger, I feel we may need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And, counsel, what were the results? This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it. Oh boy. Armed with a reagent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. Small knife from the scene of the crime. Those found the victim's back. No trace of poison was found on the blade. Also, weird that we only got this now. It's the murder weapon, and we only get it now during the second half of the case. In short, the accused feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Ah, that's a good way to start this. Now, the prosecution is ready to call a new witness. Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness. Is he going to be with the other witnesses? No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case... how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? How indeed. The ink stain on his hand is a good touch. A witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Oh, I didn't even think of a voice for him. Raisin Many Memo, Shoyu News. Shoyu News. Show you. It's show you, because I'm showing you the news. Okay, alright. Write in many memo of the Shoyu News. I'm what people like to call a journo. What's a journo, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalist. Can you make a contraction of one word? I feel like it'd be an abbreviation in that case. I'm there where the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops so that they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the herald or nothing. The nice guy of news. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, what have we here? I'm sorry. Oh, brace yourselves, people. Many Memo senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. Huh, I just noticed something. I'm not gonna bring it up, though. The readers will lap it up. We'll set it above the fold at 72 point in the 5-leg format in the morning edition. Huh? Right then, let's start with your name. Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo. Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while. By the way, my name's Takatsuchi Aochi. That's Takatsuchi Aochi. The so-called Dark Horse at the Supreme Court, my objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart. No, the readers won't buy that. Well, witness. We ask the questions here. Yes. What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that, now would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you gotta be fast. I don't know why I said it like that. Fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. That's what I call my mini-memoism. 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 Ah, yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Suzeki-san. Yes, right. That was me. Minimoto again. Mini-memo again. But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyu news offices after our new meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Miss Sprett's words. A criminal left to do as she pleases, just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse stuff. This country's judiciary is rotten to its core. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police is just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man. These are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway. I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here, right? Here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. How many pencils does he have? To get the woman's story so I can hammer her in the press. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The group scene portrayed in this photograph. Oh yes, I saw with my very own journo eyes, from start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Thank you, Mini-memo-san. I don't know why I keep saying that. You will now give formal testimony before the court. You'll state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. The beach hut was made of shoddy old radar screen, so there was plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journo spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through the perfect shot. Read screens, you say? Right. You can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. Thought walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up. Ignoring for the time being appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that had happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens. Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it? Or would I be seen? It was a gamble of a lifetime. A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run risk one day, run scoop the next. That's mini-memoism in a nutshell. At last. It would appear we have genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and the testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. No. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published? Oh, that's right. Seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that have yet to be understood. More pathetic excuses. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yeah, why anonymous? Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. nothing has been...
Hold it!
Contradictions. So I'm just gonna press everything now. What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place? Call it journo instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman? Oh, wow. Accusations. Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journo as a voyeur. It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Nope, you've got it all wrong. Little student boy. Sorry. To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoop's no gender, man or woman, it's all news. That's not even many-memoism. It's basic journalism. If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. Right, so, if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Teleport to witness. What sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated my journo instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all clear as day.
Hold it!
And so you actually saw Mimbani-san entering the hut? Yep. And she was raging. Raging like my journo spirit. And the argument you mentioned, what was it about exactly? You stole it, I didn't steal it, that kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she'd laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs. The man should have been an author, whose descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry. And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film.
Hold it!
Did you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole scene play out, from start to finish. I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain the court for exactly what you witnessed. Right you are. It's all here in my many memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on this stool in the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused own testimony confirmed that. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the students, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. What you describe as a grim crime indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says. By the way, Many Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, it did not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film. And journos have to be observers. We can't get involved. There's a raison d'être? So you didn't converse with Miss Bed at all? Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in. And that's something to be proud of, isn't it? Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Father, what are you... I will grant the defense's request. Minimemo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the affirmation statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of the many-memoism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. Is there some sort of proof here that he did set foot in the hut or spoke with the Englishwoman?
Hold it!
Really, you didn't set foot inside the hut at all? Are you quite sure about that? I think you may have a wrong impression of me. Do you have something that says he did? Why are we adding that to the statement here? I mean, I have an idea. But I don't know what my proof is. We're talking about a murder scene here. My nerves were stretched to breaking point already. Oh, I see. You were scared. Maybe I did have the wrong impression of you, yes. It was all I could do to stifle a scream and hold my hand steady enough to snap the shot. Really should have summoned help before thinking of your camera. Many-memoism and humanism don't always agree. And most of the time, those instances, many-memoism... One of these days I'll be able to say that word the first try. Many-memoism comes out on top. As a sculptor of stories, sometimes I have to be cruel for the art. Yes, that's spot on. Surely he's making all this up. He justified the whole affair from start to finish. True, his testimony is devastating. But it does seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it? That's how you feel, and I suggest that you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. Now, I've seen many times before in your role as a judicial assistant. Yes, I have. I've seen witnesses like this pressed off, and I know exactly what to do. Okay. Which I already did. Student girl came in, argued. Oh, I didn't press on that. I'm gonna try something here, which will reveal something that I noticed on him. It's not showing it in this particular instance, though, so I wonder if I should. What's the worst that could happen?
Objection!
Minimemo-san, until now I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. Ah. In a way, that's more many-memoism. There you go. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for the newspapers... it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel? Minimama-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Mrs. Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you? If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for reading that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Mimani. I still can't say that. Is it a coincidence, I wonder? That your initials are also RM? No! Write in many memo. RM. That's horse dung. Can't you see one of the central tenets of many-memoism is being a pencil user? And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung. Minimama-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Excuse? Exactly. Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need, anyway, because the pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that will undeniably prove who its owner really is. In that case, Counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course you're right. Oh, well, this is the reason that I presented it in the first place. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner identity is... This thing right here.
Got it!
As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will, of course, recognize, Minimama-san. Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Show You News. In other words, the owner of this pen is the employee of the Show You News, whose initials are RM. Yeah, I don't think you can argue a coincidence there now. Suddenly the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Minimama-san, how do you respond? No! Order, explain yourself, witness. They always laugh. So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets? I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then. Fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. I, a Show You News reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. An interview? You never mentioned this before. It's a fun song. When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed up her face in the hut. Couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It's just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing, and as we many memoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However, it is significant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meaning between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes. All right. But on one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Saseki Natsume-san. Saseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Brace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one. It's big. What? Many memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. I could do it that time because it was the first word I said. Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. Is Saseki-san hiding something? Yeah, what's this all about? I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses coming running. The detective realized the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked if the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands I reveal it now. You mean to say the victim? The victim regained consciousness? And when she did, you decided to ask her a question? That's, true, yes. He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. What? This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention it before, you yokel hack? It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. In counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut? What was the answer to his question? What was his question?
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say? Well now, you should hear it from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer-Man? Out with it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray. I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Bett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin. But what did you ask her, Saseki-san? I asked her who did this to you. Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But... In the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Without evasion or reticence, I demand you amend your testimony. I will! He's terrified. What did she say? Or not say? I asked her who did this to you. She never replied. And pointed in the direction of the defendant. Well, that's a problem.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Soseki-san, is this really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. Oh, sorry, that was Soseki, so. Which is, yeah. No. Soseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But Phil 6, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Did he just speak in English? Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger toward the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. I'm thinking about it. I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly. In a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. To somewhere in the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all. Do you mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it, unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Slightly different direction? I don't think so. I think that sounds like doubt to me. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Because as the court can see, there was no other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It's now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No. No! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyer's hopes dashed. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do extra edition. This is serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim of evidence, the judge will give us his ruling and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. Can't say I'm surprised. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on the matter. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding, and how did he or she stab the victim?
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
alternative theory. Ha! None exists!
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime. What? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. By mustering all of her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction. Fantasy. Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Alright, it's time, guys. Time to finish this off. Where was the culprit concealed?
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up. And I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Mrs. Brett was concealed in this location here. Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut. What? Order. It's Lawyer Naruhodo-san, Esquire. And that makes no sense at all. You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. I bet I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, Prosecutor Alchi, there is a way. And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that this is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you yokel! The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more evidence, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from the outside of the hut? I think it's this one. Yes.
Take that!
Well, I presented it now. But I haven't the first idea why I chose this piece of evidence. Counsel, you're suggesting that this piece of evidence bears out your theory to how the victim was stabbed. It's something of a windfall, Your Excellency. What? Excuse me? What? What was wrong with that piece of evidence? I'm sorry. What? What am I supposed to present? This one? If your theory is correct and the knife was thrust into this room outside the hut, there should be a visible trace somewhere. Yes. Yes. I'm sorry. Was that not visible enough for you? He stuck his camera through that hole.
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene? Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beast.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut? Here, because clearly him pushing this aside after the fact
Take that!
was not proof. Look closely just here. On the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. And a camera. Like in the other photograph. Sorry, I'm upset that the game did not allow that one. I can't see any such thing. It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect, however, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary. Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in many memos-on. It could only have been you.
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim is almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not. We're not. If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death, a stool. Have another look at the photograph. The stilts in the reed screen would align perfectly with the back of the person who's sitting on that stool. My word, so in fact, the victim was killed whilst sitting on that stool by a wow, what? Try saying that 10 times fast. By a stab wound to her back delivered through the reed screen. Ah! So many S's. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membani-san's hold eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Many-Manamu-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge? This is absurd! That will do. It will appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of the matter. Which means that the defendant, Membani-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, never been more proud. This can't be. The Ouchi clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope. It wasn't all an operation. I can't accept this. I won't. I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will, therefore, move to conclude proceedings by delivering the final verdict. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman. Does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant. Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference, if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. Look at that smug face. What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that deadly poison you are developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it has been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? And that is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see, I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed? Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely, it matters not a jot who stabbed who, and whose back and whose blade. Because quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Objection!
I mean, I think it still matters that she was stabbed. And that things should happen to this guy who stabbed her. But, I see your point. Like, she was murdered in 2 ways. I guess. Anyway, but that can be explained by the poison being in the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade, the weapon used to attack the victim, had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Well... Order. But where does this leave us? How in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniable, obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. Oh good, I don't have to prove this part. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Oh, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front-page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. And that's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. That's prime press fodder, this is. It seemed that the trial was not destined to end yet, after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard you're using. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court, in your testimony, the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journo and I'm a man. Never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's mini-memoism. For a brief moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth, but this slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us? Surely this must be the last one. Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishman. And it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, I got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. That's your motive? So you admit it then, that everything happened as I described? That you are the one that stabbed... Oh, that you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the reed screen. You can't blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders don't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of the charming lady's back, I plunged the blade's sweet justice right in there. Someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told. I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before, but as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got heard before me. That's right, you guessed it. The pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the English woman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! Mr. No here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness has administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical. It really would have. Why stab after poisoning? And therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last. This is unbelievable. And after I made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruto-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume will be your final cross-examination in this trial. Yep, final. Yes, Your Excellency.
Hold it!
So you do admit that you had murderous intentions toward Miss Brett, then? Ha! The one's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation. She's pure evil. A cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here in our Empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So, in summary, murderous intentions, then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was white. So I had to do what was right. For society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock. A crime for which she must pay. Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. I also don't understand if he did poison her. He's admitting to killing her. What makes him not want to admit to the poison too? I don't understand.
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously. That'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these. The accused administered poison, following in which this witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That's how it all works. Who knows? You may even learn something here today. Oh, okay, that's why. A 2 consecutive attempts on your life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this kind of court upholds. You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened to that restaurant 9 months ago. That's what. The student girl was laying on the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. And yes, John H. Wilson. A professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikitopoulos. Right, but the English woman is just jeered. case was to be heard by a British consular court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland, a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. It really felt for her. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Right. Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen. Return to the dock at once, Mibani-san. We are in the middle of cross-examination.
Hold it!
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly! He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused remarks. I will grant the request of the defense. But Your Excellency! This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Oh. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Hold it!
Okay. The stolen poison that killed the victim. I suspected her of being the one who sealed it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it was no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for a government. Indeed, all visitors to the library are thoroughly searched for the thief. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather revealed the existence of the toxin had been developed by Musi. And since Saseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you could understand that. To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Manumemo-san. One small question, if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut, listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably, then, it was you who wrote the article about what you'd heard? Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of the Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes! Look at this, the entire article. It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Oh, well, Manumemo-san. As a journo, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. It's a founding principle of Manumemo-ism. Author's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. So that's what it was about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. Yes, please, give me more things to work with. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to go and stab the person as well. That's what you wanted to say? Whoops. Logic sounds reasonable, but there's no question. Sorry, I meant to press the L button, but instead I pressed the A button. So sorry.
Hold it!
Let's all pound our desks. Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make it sure your victim would die. That's horse tongue. What? And that would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit impetuous pepper pourer as it happens. Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that. If it was a reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly he must have done so prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there's one very crucial change in the situation. Was there? Sorry? What change? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. Yes, that's it. That's when Manny Memo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he'd used. So what? So what? The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know. It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be able to help here. Couldn't you just have written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it. German is the international language of medicine. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in label in the bottom of Japanese. I did not know that. No, I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. That's the only thing I hadn't observed. Yes, this must be the victim's blood. Blood's never a pretty sight, is it? I'm having to fight the urge to run an under-hot tap and get it clean. Always been a fastidious about cleanliness, haven't you? I think this is something else, Father. And that's all she wrote there. So those are the two things I hadn't looked at yet. What's the problem? You wouldn't have known the nature of the poison. Methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical, and the university would have to be consulted. Maybe it's because of the university being consulted? Could be the key here. If the victim had unwillingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have no reason to stab her. Logic sounds entirely reasonable, but there's no question this man is responsible. Think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning. I'm sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be waiting for.
Objection!
I'm presenting this because this is the information he gained. Well, I can think of one reason. What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course he did! There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told was that it was a terrible toxin. And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membani-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel? Minimemo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Oh, which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membani-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Minimemo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? That it had to get the university involved? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from was my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among the new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it in some nefarious deed. Membani-san being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, Brayton Minimemo. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point, and it was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Objection!
But what good could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction, but he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that would happen. Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of a new secret poison's use, no one would have ever suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back. Order. The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward? Oh, there are a number of... I mean, yes, I counter completely.
Objection!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope. Lost hope? Now what? Laughing again? Oh. Ah! You pathetic, useless, fallen samurai! Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is on the rise. I don't need a counter-argument. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Shoyu News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. How's that then? Blown the story wide open? You see, I, Right Many Meno, a mere reporter from the Shoyu News, couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. There can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. If that's the case... As you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? My point is this. There's one way that you, Minimoto-san, could have stolen the poison that day. You've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? Okay, do I show them this?
Take that!
Because I can show? Nope. My eyes are wandering again. Okay, alright, fine. Okay, fine. I'll use that to prove that he stole it. A file in which the poison is kept is still in the laboratory, which means that... Okay, yeah. Yeah, you don't give it all away. Okay, alright. That's fine. I know what the vessel is. I just thought that I was supposed to show how I would prove it first, and then be like, oh, what do you want to test with this? And then show the vial. But this is the...
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Bah! I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck up a soup con of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this talking of sucking up ink have... Ah! And just as it's possible to suck up the ink in the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word, can this really be? Well, Minimoto-san, Minimemo-san, when you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir.
Objection!
So it's just reversing it. So I'm like, okay, it's the pen, and here's how I'm going to prove it with this stuff. Not, hey, we can see where it was with this stuff. Let's look at the pen. Which is what I thought we were doing first. More absurdity that never happened. And true, well, we've heard there was procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No. I'm ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, it's quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by the Manimema-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? The natural conclusion is that your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment. You dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. I don't know why. Wow, I just mixed up voices there. There can be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. And what newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass. Oh, witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Jeez. You claim I sucked the poison up in my pen? That's a wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that thing again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish the matter. Ah, I see it. The situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison in the day in question. And therefore, it all depends on whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist. Manimema-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well, then, I call upon the defense to prevent the affirmation of evidence. This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove, by means of this item, that this witness's pen was used to steal the poison. Now what is this? Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Yes, the poison is entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or from another perspective. Simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at Hull could check for traces of the poison. A reagent? What? One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Manimema-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency? The defense requests permission to carry the test on the fountain pen at once. This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this. Trying to hold a head high, civilized nation, but bowing to every foreign person's whim. I took up arms to find the mighty pen. I fought the tireless battle in the name of justice and righteousness. Susato, with me. I'm there. Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Oh, she taught her. Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. Let's look at the history. Let's see what exactly it was that he said. It is my fault the Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation, but bowing its head to every foreign power's whim. I took up arms in the form of a mighty pen. I fought tirelessly on the battlefield of news, all in the name of justice and righteousness. Yes, many memoism is a paragon of justice. When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, it all got hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. Excused myself, emptied all the ink down the sink of the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Many-Man-Mozan. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all, too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead? I went into that hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all, as a reporter. I know a killer, enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face. Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism. Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways. You ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, is really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes. You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in the courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful what you say. Oh, come on. Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset as a free woman? The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone on down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I've done my research. Dug up all the dirt. I was ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. I came under pressure from the government, you mean. If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Many-Man-Mozan, that you committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose. His pencil tip goes into his eyebrows, so it kind of looks like a paintbrush. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Oh! Yes, sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience in the Supreme Court of this excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Naruhodo-san. Ryunosuke, you mean. The way you handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one gives me hope that we are generally entering a new era of justice in this land. It's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Alchi, do you have any final thoughts? What is that? Prosecutor Alchi? I, take a Sechi out of the Alchi clan, have invested by callow youth, not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! He's so serious. Rather than living in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path of the Ouchiism. Ouchiism? One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Sprig of my topknot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Tekasuchi. That's Kazuma's theme. What's this? A moment of silence for the top knot. I love how they all are reacting, responding to this. So yeah, this game reminds us of what actually happened that first trial of the last game, and how weird it was. Now, in regard to the defendant, Raymond Mumpy-san. Yes, Your Excellency? I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty. Yay! Petals. Cherry blossoms. Court is adjourned. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Right, and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears in the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal, super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you to Milk Bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. Think about it, Ray. At any rate, you really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together? I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh my goodness! No, of course not, of course not! There it is at last. Ray's lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame. What is happening? Ah, Saseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me. Susato Mikotoba. Don't. So dashing. So divine. No! Doubly dashing, yes. And devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Mr. Susato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Astonishing, astounding, ace attorney. Hey, that's the name of the game. Of course, Saseki-san. So confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. I was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum that was that an unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Saseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned. That's truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm Chief Inspector of the Police Department, who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're one of many faces I see. Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. Well, I'm a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-san? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now that the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that English woman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. A man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah, my arch-nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been a friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Are you saying you know things? What do you know? Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you'd collapsed with high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know. Because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me. Do reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato. I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't. Ah, let me go! Well, hi there. Menumemo-san. So, one throw wasn't enough for you. I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor? Me. I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Giselle Bretz, you mean? No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago. A student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on the steamship, and that he'll never... Ah! Oh, hi, Judge. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, usually. And it's a good job it came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him. And I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency. The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friends. Seishiro Jigoku. And may I say this as I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato. Did you know all along? From the start of the trial? A judge sees everything. Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here hadn't known, and then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go, Father... Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at later dates. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. What do you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I've sent a man flying like that. Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Bretz? About Dr. Wilson? And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime. when nobody else is around. Judicious isn't Mikotobo-san, Esquires. Could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once. I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking me to return to Japan. What was it then, the particular part in my father was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in? Oh, of course, I could never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any members of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all of this curious, unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told. Well, it certainly isn't yet told now, because we have not experienced that case yet. We are going out of order. And it's
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in.
I've been pronouncing that wrong.
Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Hers, the only name that I've been pronouncing correctly. Sosek? Is that his name, Sosek? It wasn't even Soseki, it's Sosek. No. Anyway, the next case is going to be that second case with Sosek. So we'll discover what it is that he's talking about here when we come back next time. So, in the meanwhile, yeah, okay, so I don't remember that case. I didn't remember very much of that case, and then I was starting to remember. I was like, oh yeah, didn't she get stabbed through the screen or something? So then I remembered that. And then as soon as I saw that empty, or no, it wasn't whenever I saw the empty pen. It was whenever they said something about the poison being stolen. I was like, oh, that pen is the container. But I don't think I remembered that. I think I just figured it out again. But yeah, so we're back, and as you can see, the Clouded Kokoro, once again, just like before it was the case of the Clouded Kokoro, now it's the memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro, to remember what it was like. So what is this mysterious case that Sholmes has forbade us to speak of? I have a feeling it's just going to be investigations and no trials again. So we will find out. Yeah, I guess I'll talk to you guys later. I was going to say more about the case that we just did and whether I liked it or not. I mean, it's fine. Tutorial cases are always kind of here and there. I mean, the characters are fun. That girl is totally not memorable to me though at all. Like, there's nothing quirky or anything about her that. But the reporter was fun, and it's nice to see the Hosonaga, because he is a recurring character, and Soseki. But we're gonna see more Soseki next time. So I will talk to you guys then. Bye.